Hey, Brian, we're following up on that email you sent out.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking it's not in our city.
No, I've double checked. The Selma and city line are very close in that area, but this, I'm pretty certain, is in the city.
Yeah, well, we'll take
We had that
we'll take care of it.
conversation.
The problem is that I'm short staffed on Mondays and Fridays because guys work 4 days, 10-hour shifts.
Yeah,
So I have half of them work on Mondays, the other half work on Fridays. So I'm always short staffed Mondays and Fridays. So tomorrow is the day they're all there. So we'll probably take care of it tomorrow.
okay. And yeah, let me know otherwise. Or if you want me to put the gentleman directly in touch with you as well, I can do so.
No, that's fine. We can take care of it. I don't see there being a problem with that. I mean, if our investigators will have to go take a look. I think they have already. It's just a matter of scheduling when they can clean it up.
Okay. No, I appreciate it, Neffy.
Not a problem.
We did reach out to the suburban cities as well, just to kind of hone in on the exact area. So,
Yeah, but a lot of times they sometimes don't have the manpower to do it. So we usually
I know. I understand.
Yeah, we try and help each other out like that sometimes. So.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. I know that's, like I said in my last email, I'm sure that's with all the recent rain, I'm sure this isn't the only area you've heard from.
Oh man, we've been everywhere. We've been running all over the place. Cleaning so much.
And I understand we're in for more tonight, which, I mean,
yeah,
it's needed.
We certainly do need it, but to get it all at once is what I don't like.
Yeah. It seems to be happening more like that, more frequently in the last decade.
Well, that's the issue with this climate. So, and interestingly enough, that's something we're going to have to deal with. Our plan here, we're going to have to address what climate change is going to be doing in our region, which is, indicative of what's going on in the country, which is more rain, less frequent. So how do we harden our infrastructure to account for that? I mean, that's the tough part.
Yeah. And, I know there have been efforts at the legislature to get climate change or climate variability to be more a part of the regional water planning process as well as this. And we just haven't quite gotten there quite yet,
So I will tell you that, and I don't know how the other regions are doing it, but when we moved forward to adopt Atlas 14, that was a real eye-opener for, at least for our council, in recognizing that, obviously climate change, you want to look forward. You want to look predictively what's coming. Then Atlas 14 made us, again, as always, look backwards. But even in that short period of time that we looked back, there was a significant increase in, so while the UTSA model was not able to give me a predictive moving forward, they did look at the rate of change that Atlas 14 identified, and they confirmed, saying that the rate of change, the time it took to change, was indicative of climate change. And they said, yeah, that's consistent. And they're saying, 10 years from now, it'll be the same rate of change, which is extremely interesting to me to see, where we're going to be in 10 years.
Yeah, continuing on that trajectory is not, it's a little scary.
Well, we just have to be ready for it. You know, not just, you know, we'll not just build our way out of it, but, you know, set the right standards and parameters. I see Mr. Wedman is on. Dave, nice to see you.
What they say, Neffy, it's good to be seen and not viewed.
Hey, Jeff, how's Bernie doing?
Afternoon, doing pretty good. We are in crisis mode as TxDOT's going to shut down I-10 this weekend.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that.
No one come to Bernie. Stay away. And everyone yelling and screaming. It's the same thing we had a couple weeks ago before they delayed it. Everyone's yelling and screaming again.
Hey, Debbie, are you on the call? Debbie Reed? Maybe she didn't hear me. Hey, Suzanne.
Hey, sorry I was a little bit late. I was on another call.
No problem, no problem. We're in our grace period here, a few minutes to get everybody else to come on. Hey, Suzanne, how often are you going to the office? You spend very much time at home?
I'm at the office every day now.
Every day?
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just, I'm mostly here by myself, but that's okay. I don't mind.
What's your commute like now?
About 5 minutes. It's really bad. It's, I mean, you know, I live in Alamo Heights and their office is at Pearl, so it's real, doesn't take me any time at all. So it's easy.
You could probably take like the bus if push
I know.
You probably could.
I could.
That's awesome.
I should do that. It's just,
Hey, have you been to that new French restaurant? I want to go to that French restaurant, but I can't get reservations.
I know I had to, it's easier to get in at lunch than it is at dinner, but I made a reservation for my husband and I to go on the 1st of June, and I made it like 3 weeks ago. So it's crazy. Well, I'll let you know how it was.
Yeah, look. Okay, Caitlin, I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We're just waiting on Kara as of right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna send her a quick message.
Neffy and Caitlin, I believe Kara was on vacation and will not be able to join this
Oh,
afternoon.
that's right. That's right.
She made it very clear that she was not going to interrupt the vacation plan.
You're right. Thank you, Brian.
Smart woman. She needs to take her vacation.
Hopefully she can go to any ocean. Last time she went on vacation and she went to an ocean, she had an incident with a shark.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'll let her tell you about it when she gets back.
Oh my goodness. Well, we want her to be safe for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get this meeting started. It's we've given everybody 4 minutes. So Caitlin, do you want to take over? Or Brian?
Sure, thank you. So today, this executive meeting is just to get the recommendation from our evaluation committee. Debbie, I think as our lead exec on the evaluation committee, if you would like to share the information, please go ahead. You're muted, Debbie.
Yep, got it. Can you hear me now? All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so we went ahead and interviewed 3 of the applicants that had rated the highest. And it was, I thought, turned out to be a very informative process. And in the end, we selected the HDR, which had been our top pick when we were looking at all 5 of them. But some of the other groups did move up higher. And I think that was one of the interesting thing, was to go back in and see some more emphasis and details that were not available from the proposal itself. So anything else? Questions?
Can you who's on the team with HDR? If they're the prime, do we know who's the rest of the team?
We do, and I didn't pull out the entire packet, but I can grab that. It's just around the corner. But the team is local, and while HDR is actually the contract for Region 6, which was a little scary, Troy Dorman is one of the lead, and he's here. So there's most of the group is local, and most of them are not on other region plans, is what we were told.
Debbie, one of the concerns that I had, and I'm glad Suzanne brought it up, or we've been discussing, is I wanted to make sure we had a dedicated team. You know, San Antonio watershed is a complex watershed itself, and I wanted to make sure that there was plenty of capacity in the teams. So the evaluation committee did feel that HDR and I'm assuming it's half because you mentioned Dorman. They have enough capacity.
Yes, that's a good point. And it was actually one of the main questions. So I think we only had 3 main questions, and that was, does your team, will they be involved in other regions, and how will you provide consistency and address that entire issue? Because it's a huge issue since there's so much going on in the state. But from what they told us, that they are a dedicated team and will be consistent through, they won't be switching, bait and switch, that they will be consistently our team throughout the process.
So it's HDR half, because I know, and Troy from half is the project manager. Is that what we're saying? Is that what you're saying?
You know what? I didn't bring
Ron
out
Brannion with HDR as the project manager, and then Troy Dorman was the co-project manager.
Right, that's correct. Thank you.
I'm sorry, say that again, Jeff.
Ron Brannion with HDR is the project manager, and Troy Dorman is a co-project manager and with half.
Great.
That's the way they presented it.
Okay, great. Because I know both of them. Ron has done a lot of good H&H work.
I think that was one of the strongest points that HDR had, was their previous work and their familiarity with the entire basin. The size and complexity was a huge issue. Jeffrey, did you have any more to add to that?
I do know that both HDR and HAF associates are doing some of the flood modeling for our update. And I know that both teams, at least in my role at the city, have provided us quite a bit of modeling work and design work. So I'm familiar with the team. I have a lot of confidence in those two gentlemen. That sounds a pretty strong team.
Good.
Was there anything else when you interviewed? Was there anything else in the team? Was there anything that made you kind of, not a red flag, but maybe a yellow flag that come up on that team that you're, well, wait a second. Anything that we can discuss?
Yes, in fact, I did have some concerns personally about the HDR team because there had not been, well, every other team had something like a fluvial geomorphologist or an aquatic ecologist. They were a little bit light on that, but they do have some staffing. And since that aspect was actually one of the questions, they did elaborate, which to the point that made me feel much more comfortable. And I think Jeffrey had talked about the work that HAF had done in burning and how happy that they were with the lid information, etc. So
Correct.
that was another.
Both HAF and HDR have done work for the city of Bernie. In the past, HAF was integrally involved in our new drainage way protection zone ordinance, where we it's not kind of like floodplain setbacks is the easy way to describe it, that we've created throughout the town for any drainage area greater than 25 acres. So they were integral in preparing that ordinance for us.
So those were some of the really strong points, I think. For the group.
Did you go get the rest of the team?
Yes, I do have the rest of the team right here. Sorry, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. Oh, I didn't know I was gonna be.
I'm sorry.
Fine. That's okay. So Ron Branyan is the project manager, and I think you guys were discussing it. And then next is Troy Dorman. And then we have Christy Shaw, who's a technical advisor and planning strategist, and has worked in the Edwards Aquifer area. And then we have Curtis Beidel, quality control. Brandon Hilbrick, flood risk, floodplain management. Eric Stewart, flood management evaluation, strategic and projects. Chris Parker, impact response, recommendations and financing. And then Linda Jimenez is their outreach consultant. Josh Logan, technical advisor and planning strategist. Scott Lowen, quality control. Derek Whitman, flood risk, floodplain management, flood mitigation. A lot of these you hopefully are more familiar with than I am. Sunit Deo and Sam Edwards are both on flood risk, and Kelsey Calleros, again, flood risk. George, I mean, there's a lot of folks on this team. Hopefully, anyway.
I was just
George,
wondering if there were other firms. I mean, HDR, you've got HDR, HAF, and Jimenez as firms. I'm not as familiar with some of the firms that the other people are with, but it's okay. I mean, are you familiar with those names, Neffy, from some of the other folks?
yeah.
With the names themselves, I know many of them. I've actually worked with a few of them, and so yeah, I'm familiar with a lot of the names. I'm just curious about some of the other firm, if there's any other firm in that team.
Yeah, me too.
Brian or Caitlin, do you guys have the team composition for the HDR half team?
I saw Emily on the.
Emily,
Emily
do you
may-
think you could pull that up?
Oh,
Yeah.
I apologize. Can you repeat the question or what you need me to pull up?
we're trying to find, if you can give us the team members on the HDR and half team. I think from what Debbie has read out, it sounds like it's HDR half and Jimenez and Associates. Is
Yes, I can
firm?
share my screen with y'all if that would be okay.
Becky Hansen is the last.
That would be
group.
great. That would be a lot better than me.
I apologize. I didn't hear. And then Caitlin, can you please make me able to share my screen?
Absolutely.
Say something, Jeff. We may have cut you off.
Understanding the biggest question is, what are the other firms that are involved?
Yes, so it appears that it's HDR, and then it's a bunch of.
Well, yeah.
Half,
Ron Brandon on this call right now.
Hanson Professional Services and Langford Community Management Services.
HDR. I'm gonna scroll. I'm sorry if that nauseates you guys, but have the flood risk, floodplain management, flood mitigation, HDR,
Yes. A ton of HDR.
half, HDR, half, HDR, half. Am I going too fast, or is this what y'all want to see? Just HDR, half.
Hanson.
That brings back a bad memories.
LCMS, HDR, half, HDR, and the org chart is right
Oh, yeah,
here.
here we go.
So just a little bit further down.
Yeah, a little bit further down.
There.
There we go. Oh, okay. So 5 firms. Very nice. Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome. Stop sharing.
Thank you, Emily. So this is really just an opportunity for the executive team to ask the evaluation committee questions. No action will be taken at this time. It will be
That's
taken
correct.
at the planning group meeting.
Let's start. Dave Wegman, do you have any questions for the team, for the evaluation team?
No questions. Not having not reviewed all the other submittals, there's not much for me to question. I do know, like you, a majority of the individual players on the teams, at least the 2 major players, the 2 major firms, are well respected and have done work for both the county and the city and San Antonio River Authority. And I'm comfortable with the leadership as presented.
And thank you, David. Suzanne, any other comments or questions that you might have for the team?
No, I mean, I'm familiar with the players. I do know, at least from the people that I knew, the names, I know that Troy has done, some nature-based solutions type work before. I know low impact development, he's done quite a bit of that in the firms that he's worked with. And I would assume that HDR and HAF too, they have a pretty deep bench because they're large firms, that if they wanted to bring in some experts on nature-based solutions, green infrastructure, we would definitely have those available to us as we start to talk about specific projects and approaches as we move forward. So, I mean, I think you've got it. It seems to me that you would have a good combination of both traditional engineering as well as opportunities for nature-based options.
That's a very good point, because that's actually, that was something that was very important to us. I had discussions with Debbie about how important it is that they give us an opportunity to see both gray and in green infrastructure, and have an emphasis obviously on green infrastructure, but we recognize that there would be occasions where gray infrastructure is really the only thing we can do. But we need to have that option, because especially when we start looking at rural areas where there's more land available, I think there is opportunities for us to do that. So I'm really appreciative of you guys really asking them to bring that up. Debbie, you were on the evaluation committee. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, I think all the final applicants had great responses for their the way they would do their outreach, and making sure one of the questions that had been one of your concerns is to ensure that all the players in the basin stayed engaged and felt that they had equal footing within the process. And I think that each of the groups and HDR did a fine job of stating how they would approach that. And I guess one of the things that I had asked Brian at the end, there's some pieces that maybe were not brought out in each of the proposals or the presentations, but that we could take some of those that may not be emphasized that we found very positive from other presentations, and making sure that we share that information with whoever we select.
Jeff, did you have any other additional comments? Or I know you were a part of the evaluation committee. Any thoughts?
Correct. And most of my points have already been said, but yeah, definitely it was a question we asked all the teams about nature-based, and the answers that we got from the teams had a lot more info than in the initial SOQs that we reviewed and scored. But it was good answers. They provided good answers. And the other big question that we asked of the teams was just availability to work on this, and the schedule that we have to follow. It's a very tight, difficult schedule, and how they answered that question on how they were going to kind of keep us on track. Those are our key points that we got from them through the interview process.
And I think, to that point, I would guess that, because both HAF and HDR, as Neffy mentioned, have been involved in some of the mapping and modeling efforts within San Antonio and within the basin, that may give them at least some working knowledge of the basin to move forward. So that hopefully could jumpstart the process as they move forward. So the familiarity is there already.
That's good to hear. And well, first of all, I want to thank you for those who were a part of the evaluation committee. I know reviewing this technical data and all the information was certainly a challenge. It always is. So thank you for taking the time to do that. Debbie and Jeff and Kara and the staff at the River Authority who did that. Thank you so much. I also want to thank, I know I see some of the other firms that
Yes.
on the call. I want to, and to you guys who were not selected, I just want to say thank you for showing interest, for applying. I'm sorry that you were not selected, but I will tell you, please maintain yourself engaged in this process. I think when the work will be completed, I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity for us all. So for the firms that did not make the cut, thank you for putting in. And please stay engaged. As far as HDR and HAF, I see Ron is on the call. Ron, it's certainly a nice vote of confidence for you and your firm and your team. But we're excited to work. Now, what we're going to do now is we will be recommending HDR HAF team to the full committee, and upon action of the committee, then we will move forward with assuming the entire committee is fine and moves forward and approves this election, we will move forward with this recommendation and hopefully get you guys under contract as soon as possible. If it's appropriate, Ron, would you just say a few words? And
sure, Neffy, and want to thank everybody for this opportunity. As we told the selection committee last week, we're really excited for this opportunity. Both Troy and I have dedicated our careers to this basin, and we've worked from top to bottom, and worked with many of you on this call here. And this basin is very important to us. We do have a dedicated team, Neffy, and the rest of and Suzanne, and the rest of the selection committee. We have a dedicated team. Myself and Troy aren't on any other planning group around the state. We do have, both firms have additional groups, but we're embracing that for just to be able to learn the intricacies of what's going on in the other basins and give a more cohesive product from across the state. So we'll use that when we can. And again, excited for this opportunity. And yes, we do have the capabilities in Central Texas to fulfill the geomorphologic exercises as well as the nature-based solutions. So I appreciate that, Debbie. And so yes, there was a lot to highlight in this SOQ there, Neff. So it was tough to get it all, tough to brag on yourself that much, but I'm really proud of the team. And looking forward to serving y'all and getting this plan done on time. Thank you.
thank you, Ron. We're one step closer. So hopefully we'll make the recommendation and move forward from there. I do want to recognize, I failed to recognize there are a couple of members from the board, from Texas Water Development, staff members from the board, Anita and James. Is there anything that you guys would like to say, Anita?
Hi, everyone. I don't have anything to say at this time, but just looking forward to our meeting on Friday.
Sounds good. James, do you have anything to share with us? Well, hearing none, then
Hey, Nifty, real quick before we adjourn, can Caitlin just quickly go over what's on the agenda on Friday? I don't have it in front of me, but what else is on the agenda besides this?
Absolutely.
certainly, yeah.
Pull that up for you really quickly.
I know I have a presentation I'm doing that I've been working on.
That is correct. Here, let me share my screen. So we will be having another pre-planning meeting for public input. We'll be having this recommendation for the technical consultant, flood prevention investments by the City of San Antonio and Bexar County, and a presentation by the Texas General Land Office regarding river basin flood studies.
Then, of course, we'll have the updates, the liaison updates. So, Suzanne, if you have had any meetings with them.
I have.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. I just,
Neffy, I just wanted to give you some feedback. I had emailed Caitlin about our next meeting. We have the opportunity to schedule the nature-based presentation.
Yes.
June the 15th. If you'd like, I could go forward with making that arrangement.
We had talked about it at the last group meeting about having that presentation. I think it'd be very appropriate if we had that at our next meeting. So please.
June the 15th.
Yes, please.
Okay.
they did
do.
give it. They did give the presentation at Region 11. That would be part of my update that that there was a joint effort of several organizations that prepared a presentation, and I think it's going to be the same presentation. Debbie, is that right? That Texas Living Waters, along with the other partners?
It may be slightly changed. What they've done is that they're working with each region to put in additional information that's more pertinent for them.
I was going to ask that to see if they've used a couple of San Antonio, they used a couple of San Antonio examples in the presentation, but it would be great if they had some more to make it more relevant to our basin.
That's what I agree. I will move in that direction.
All right. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for making the time this afternoon to review the selection. And Caitlin, is there anything else?
That is it. We may go ahead and adjourn.
Let's adjourn. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.